Hello, my name is Bladen Garland, and I am demonstrating a app I built. It is Cloudimate. I should say before the video starts, this will be a fairly long video, and if you want to skip through to watch specific parts, I will leave sections in the scroll bar for you to skip to. So starting off, what is Cloudimate and where did it come from? So Cloudimate originated at an internship I took. It was software built to help automate some of the business actions going on. And once I finished my internship, I decided to continue developing the app as a resume builder. And as I kept developing it, I kept realizing its potential as a company. And so I further continued developing it until I realized that a similar service already exists and that I will not profit nearly as much as I would like to. And so I ceased developing. To begin with, we have the landing page here. Now, mind you, I'm running on a local server. I was in the midst of developing this when I realized that a similar service existed. So there's a few changes that haven't been applied yet. Uh, if you go through, it'll simply tell you about some of the templates, streamlining some functions, resource monitoring, and I've even developed a CLI, and obviously the CSS is not looking too great right now. So if you go to the sign in, go ahead and get yourself logged in. It'll bring you to the dashboard. But before I do that, I do want to mention Cloudimate was at one point completely online and active. I'm recording this video because I can't afford to have it up if I'm not making money from it. So there is also Google sign in. I'm going to go back through this and demonstrate a little bit more here in just a moment. So you sign in and it'll bring you to this dashboard, and this dashboard has some information on the fleets, no, not fleets, sorry, the servers and databases. So I will admit the graph thing is a little bit buggy right now. It would be a simple solution to fix it. Wouldn't even take me an hour of my time, but I just simply don't feel like working on it now. So here you can see we have CPU utilization on one of my servers and one of my databases, and that is straight from AWS. Now, if you look in the top right corner, you will see that you can select your regions. I guess there's also a CSS issue here. Never seen that before, but you can select your regions, and then for accounts, there's been an ongoing issue with it recognizing that you're connected to an account. The back end knows, the front end does not. And I was planning on fixing that once I got a little further down the line. Here you have your settings and your help page. I will show those later. Now, let's go down to the main functionality of the website. So you have cron, fleet, environment, and resource templates. So cron is simply a cron expression you use to shut down and start shut down and start resources. The fleet templates are to build appstream 2.0 fleets. This was actually what was originally developed at my internship. Now, I believe now is a good time to mention that a portion of what you are staring at now was developed by a coworker of mine, a very intelligent man. He did not continue working on this project after the internship. I did, and while a vast majority of his code was changed and almost, I'd say about 95% of what you're looking at was developed by me, there are certain things and certainly some of the styling choices that remain. Environment templates here, everything you see, I programmed completely on my own, but as you can see, it's no different than the fleet templates stylistically, and that's because I really liked how he created that. So, yes, part of his work still exists. Now, if we go to build templates, you have the option of choosing names, choosing a description on demand here. Hit next. You can go through, select instance size, duration, simply the things that you would be entering if you were to build out a fleet. Once that's through, you go ahead and select your min capacity, max capacity, and your cron expression. Thank God I have one ready. Select cron expression, done, hit next. Now it shows you a list of all of the information you just submitted. Now, if you go to network and observe, hit create, make fleet template failed. Oh, well, the name was taken. Okay, well, assuming that the name was not taken, this would have worked correctly. So anyhow, now we can go and see that there is in fact a fleet. This is straight from the database. It gives you, a little bit of information. If you click here, it will give you some more in-depth information on the fleet template that you just created. Now, mind you, this is a fleet template. So what can you do with these fleet templates? Well, you can bring them over here into create fleets. And I'm not going to actually provision the fleet because I don't want to have to go and unprovision it. But if you just go through here, type some information, select a template. Now, this is the exact template that was just created, not the one that was just created, but the one that would have been created. You go through and you select an image. So go through, you select your image and you go to create. I'm not going to hit that because I do not want to create one. But a fleet would be created, and similar to how the templates are set up, it would show that a fleet is running right here. And you have the ability to start, stop, and delete those templates. You also have the ability to refresh in case a new fleet was added during your time on the website. So moving forward, oh, look, see, it does work. It's just not always. Anyhow, this is where probably the best development of this app occurred. You have these things called resource templates, and as you can see, they are aptly named backend server, front-end server, website database. They have their descriptions, and when you, I guess I'll walk through the process of building one. So when you go through the process of building one of these, you select your instance size. We'll go to T2 micro because it's free tier, AMI ID, and then you can select your security groups, and these are straight from my AWS account, straight from it. Local SSH, I made that specifically to SSH into servers, and you just get an idea of what the security groups are. EBS optimized, simple enough. You select your EBS type, pops up this, enter a size, select a size unit, continue down, delete volume on termination, and associate IAM role. So these are actual roles that exist in my AWS account. And then there was a error up here actually because I did not enter a valid AMI ID. And then you hit submit, check the network, and make EC2 template was successful, cancel, go back to templates, resource templates, and bam, it's right there. Now, I don't know if actually deleting it works. I believe it does. We'll see. This is a relatively new feature of mine. I have not worked on it much. I've been prototyping quite a bit. So this is the latest feature entirely. Oh, I should mention, I think you guys saw, but there is RDS databases and elastic load balancers as options as well. This is the latest feature I was working on. This is really what was going to be the flagship product until I realized it already exists in AWS. So let's go ahead and call it template for demonstration. Submit, and immediately you'll see that it pops up this strange looking thing. And while at first this may be a little overwhelming, slightly confusing even, it's actually very intuitive in my own opinion. So what you're staring at here is actually a network configuration, and this is the VPC, this container here. You can select the name, VPC, you can enter an IP 10.0.0/16. Okay, that was not intended. Yeah, as I said, a lot of this has been prototyping. I'm a one-man developer. This is an incredibly large app for my work. You have the option to attach a internet gateway, and when you attach it to the VPC level, you're able to attach it at the subnet level and begin routing internet to your subnets. You also have the ability to, okay, so that works. So you also have the ability to set up subnet IPs, subnet CIDR blocks, I should say. And if this would just work, okay. Well, eventually, when you actually finish building out this template, it'll actually go through and check your CIDR blocks and make sure that none are overlapping, which I thought was a cool feature. And then you're also able to select your availability zones here. And then if you want a new subnet with a new availability zone, you simply click the plus button. If you want to subtract from that, you hit the minus. And then you can also do the exact same. You can add subnets, multiple subnets inside of a single availability zone by clicking here. You can change the name, see if that'll work. Beautiful. And attach your internet gateway. You can leave it detached. So the next feature that I recently added, and this is very recent, was the ability to add your servers and your databases into your subnets. And I've actually tested this and managed to get it to work. You can, in fact, provision entire environments, including servers, EC2, RDS databases, everything. So here I'm going to show how to use the CLI tool. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to your settings and get your API key. You are then going to open up a terminal. Now that your terminal is open, you are going to pip install Cloudimate. And for me, it'll tell me all the requirements are satisfied. Now from there, you should have pip on or Cloudimate downloaded to your system. Go ahead and CM help to get a list of commands. We are interested first in the set command. So we will go ahead and CM set credentials email. Oh, okay, so there is a bug with this. This was very much a prototype. So go ahead and go with your email that it's associated with your Cloudimate account, your API key, and the default region you would like to provision your templates in. Hit enter. Credentials set successfully. That is stored in your system encrypted. Now we will go to CM provision environment, and what was it? We are going to go with test 2 on this one because it's less resources for me to have to worry about. It should be correct. What do I get? Drum roll. No errors, so that could potentially mean that it worked. Here we are in my AWS account, and right here there is an empty instance. That is a bug, but regardless, it is a T2 micro, exactly what is specified in the template. Now I'm going to have to go and check the template to make sure nothing else was provisioned because I don't want to leave things running. But yeah, right there. I mean, an instant. As it turns out, it was not a mistake. Apparently, there was 2 EC2 instances in that template and 1 RDS database. So, assuming everything went correct, yes, RDS test with AutoPass. Now, this is a good time to mention that there is inherently issues with setting up RDS and EC2 templates because with RDS templates, you typically use a password to gain access to your database. And while you could have the same password for every database, it's not exactly secure. And so what I've done is I've created a way to create a auto-generated RDS password, which gets downloaded when a user creates the template. And I suppose I have not made the integration with the CLI, but if you were to take that action from Cloudimate itself, you would in fact download a file containing passwords correlated with the databases that you just provisioned. The EC2 instances had not got that far. I did not make it possible for users to download their custom PEM files, or what is it, PPK or something like that. So we're going to go back to the command console now. So here we are back in the CLI, and there is a number of things that you can do. For example, you can test your connection. It might ask for target. So test connection, possibly. Yep, connection test was successful, which shows that your Cloudimate account is successfully connected, and so is your CLI. As you guys can see, there are a number of commands. I'm struggling to figure out which commands I set. I set this all in like a couple of hours, so it's not exactly set in my brain what the commands are. There is documentation on GitHub for it, which I could refer to, but for this, just assume that everything is working as expected. All right, so here we are in settings, and as you can see, you have access to billing, profile, and account. In account, you're able to set your ARN, and you are also able to change your password, which it does require a verification code. If I do remember correctly, AWS never did approve my ability to send emails, mass emails out to many customers. So I'm only able to send them out currently to an email that I verified. Here you're able to show the API key that allows you to take actions on an account. And this is where one of the cooler features is, in my opinion. You're able to set up MFA. Don't have subscription. All right. One moment. All right. Hey there, guys. So right here, we are at the subscription and billing area. So as you can see in the URL, we are at subscription. Now, I do believe if you type in free trial, let's see, that should also, okay, so there are two different versions. There's the free trial and there is the straight subscription. You can go here to enter your information. The Stripe API card information area is not loading in because my internet is awful. But outside of that, you're able to enter in a coupon code here. This is the coupon code to use this application for free. You can hit apply. And after some struggling, it will apply it. Pay now. It is currently processing. And bam. So you are now in. There's now subscription. And we will go and explore the MFA now. So here we are at MFA. And now I should be able to set up MFA. Here we go. So it's a similar process to any other MFA. Simply scan the QR code. It will pop up a new code, and mine is, hold on, 516284. Hit enter. MFA is now activated. So when you hit sign out and you go to sign in, which I don't know if this will work because it's a Google account that I actually signed up with here. Oh, look, it did work. Beautiful. So it's probably going to tell me that I'm not allowed to sign in using this method since this is a Google account. But regardless, you can see that MFA exists here and it actually does in fact work. So let's go ahead and go back to the settings. As I said, this is a Google account, so I will sign in using Google sign in here. Let's go ahead and go to settings and let's explore the rest. So in billing, it's fairly simple. So there are no statements and the subscription plan is free and it never expires. There is no turnover date because it never expires. When you're using an account that does not have a free subscription coupon, it'll pop up the ability to allow you to cancel and I believe also the ability to renew right here. So when you go over to profile, you're able to set your default region, which in my case, I typically go with US East 2. I suppose now is a good time to show that there's an events area over here that'll log all of the events that you do. Name change failed. Interesting. Well, you know, it may have been a failure, but on one hand, it's actually kind of cool because I wasn't able to show you. Okay. There was a major rework of this application at one point, and there was a lot of bugs created, and obviously I haven't got to test all of this. Matter of fact, I haven't even messed with the settings in quite some time. So there are still quite a few bugs. Most of this is prototype work. but the application is still pretty decent. So if we go over to help, you can explore how to use Cloudimate. What can I do with Cloudimate? Make templates, provision environments, provision fleets. How do I use Cloudimate? If we go over here to setup, there is a JSON file for the permissions and trust policy of your AWS role. It walks you through step by step how to set it up. Billing, simple. This is some of the API calls that you can make, which this is in some aspects obsolete now that there's a CLI to help do all of this for you. Matter of fact, I believe that every single one of these API calls here is now part of the CLI. Now, I suppose at this point, it's worth going and seeing how I set this up in AWS. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. All right, so here's my AWS account, and this is how you link your account to Cloudimate. So I have a variety of roles here, and there's a role connected to the backend server, the EC2 instance, and that role is ultimately what calls the assumer role here. The assumer role is specifically as a layer of security to ensure that my EC2 role does not get hacked and therefore nobody can mess with my server. Once my role connected to the EC2 instance assumes the assumer role, you are then able to connect the assumer role to a AWS account, and it doesn't have to be mine specifically. This Cloudimate test role here is the role that I've been using to provision resources from Cloudimate on my behalf. So if we go here, you can just check it out. There's some permissions, trust policies. The trust policy has gotten to be fairly large because there's quite a bit of things that you can do with the service. It is struggling to load, but that is essentially all you have to do to link your thing. If you follow the steps in the help page, it'll tell you, go ahead, make yourself an IAM role, set it to link to another account, and trusted entity type, enter this. External ID, this is automatically generated by the backend, and this is actually a unique code. This is not the same code that any other user would have. That is your specific code. And from there, you just add your trust policies, your whatever. And that is all there is to linking your account. So we will now continue on to some more advanced options with the login page. All right, so to further explore the functionality of my sign-in, we're going to go ahead and make a new account. We're specifically going to make one with this email here, because this is the only email that AWS allows me to send emails to currently. We're going to go ahead and set the password to just be the letter A. I never did anything to have strict password control on here. And there is also a terms of service, and there is a privacy policy, because at one point, like I said, this was to be a company. So we hit sign up, and it's going to ask us to create a proper account. All right, I'm back. So you apply the coupon. Right here is your card number. If you had a proper card number, then this is properly linked up to Stripe, and you would actually be paying monthly for the subscription. When you cancel, there's some work that goes on in the back end to make sure users can no longer continue using the app. Believe you guys have already seen a demonstration of what happens when you do not have an account. It denies certain actions. Anyhow, let's go ahead and say I forgot the password. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the password to xapexdeity here. It was a gaming email I use. I typically give it out when I don't feel like giving out companies my email. So we're going to set the new password from A to B. And let's go ahead and get a token here. So if you go over to the email, password retoken from no reply at cloudimate.tech is this. Let's not get a space in there. Now let's go ahead and submit it. Hit the CAPTCHA to confirm I'm not a robot. Submit. Now we are back. Let's go to xapex.deity, x, and then let's go with the password B. Enter. We should be in. Yep. So there is also password reset functionality. I do believe that covers everything. To speak on Cloudimate a little bit, This project was so exciting to me before I realized that it already existed. At my internship when I was developing this, I asked my boss like, "Hey, doesn't this kind of exist?" And I don't remember his exact reply, but whatever it was enough to get my mind off of the fact that something already exists, or maybe I thought that it didn't exist. Whatever, I continued developing this app and thought I could eventually turn it into a company. Realistically, I believe this software is actually a little bit better than what AWS provides. But because it is not the flagship product of this is the environment templates, and Cloud Formation in AWS does something similar. It does it with JSON templates rather than drag and drop templates, which I think is a shame. But regardless, this app may be slightly better than AWS, but there's no reason to continue to try to develop it when I know that the profit will not be significant. Lay out some of the specs. This is an API based application. The front end is built with React and Node, and the back end is built with Laravel. I'm running two servers, one for the front end, one for the back end. I'm running a RDS MySQL database to store user information. I'm using Stripe as the payment portal. I'm using Google MFA, Google CAPTCHA, Google Sign In. There's quite a few API integrations here. There's even more behind the scenes. A lot of API calls to AWS. I'm not really sure there's anything else to speak on. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.